Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome back to Speaking 360. So we've got a real treat for you today because, dun dun dun, what day is it today? It's National Leadership Day, February the 20th. This is the first time ever that it's been National Leadership Day. This is the first one, and it's on John Maxwell's 75th birthday. So 75 years old. It's his birthday today. We're going to spend the evening with him actually later today to celebrate his birthday. But today is National Leadership Day. And from now on, it's National Leadership Day, this day each year. So it's huge. John's, as the world's leading leadership expert, recognized, of course, for this on his birthday, such a huge thing. So you're going to see this everywhere, actually. And there's 41,000 plus John Maxwell team members. So probably all of them are going to be posting something with this hashtag National Leadership Day. So look out for that all over the place in celebration of John's birthday and also the fact that it's National Leadership Day. So what I thought we'd do today then, rather than doing a communication or a speaking quote for this week, I thought we'd do a leadership quote in honor of John's birthday and in honor of National Leadership Day. So what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about this great leadership principle, particularly for organizations. People don't quit companies, they quit people. People don't quit companies, they quit people. This is really, really, from my experience of working before, I've been a professional speaker and speaker trainer for 15 years. But for 15 years before I was a professional speaker, I worked in the City of London in investment banking. And so I had a large team of people. I hired and fired loads and loads of people. I did loads of appraisals, bonus reviews, salary reviews, everything you can imagine, loads and loads of recruiting. And I heard a lot of stories, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions from those people over the years, because during that time there was like real lows and there was real highs. The company couldn't do anything wrong, and finance was booming, and at other times it was cut costs and lay people off, unfortunately. So all of those different things. I've heard so many different stories from staff, and obviously thought about it from my own perspective as well. And one of the things that's interesting is that you speak to people, and they'll tell you, this company doesn't pay well, or this company doesn't train its people properly, or this company doesn't give us enough holiday, or this company's rubbish for whatever it is, vacation, sorry. This company's rubbish. And you hear all these things, and very often they're not actually saying the company's rubbish, because the company, I work for some of the biggest organizations in the world. They've got like 50, 60, 100,000 people around the world. You can't say because, your experience in one city in the world, in one of their offices, is bad, therefore the whole company. It just doesn't make sense. The whole company's rubbish. The whole company it just doesn't make sense. What they mean very often is, and this is, I think, important to really grasp, when people say this company's rubbish, what they mean is my line manager is rubbish. I don't have a relationship with my line manager, which is a completely different thing, obviously, isn't it? So everyone has a line manager in a large organization, and the state of that relationship, or the complete lack of a relationship at all, determines how that person thinks about the company. Just think about this. It's like the reception staff as well. In an organization, when people come into the organization from outside, let's say a bank, they come into the bank and they meet people at reception. Those people are representing the company to that person. Now, they're not the company, but that's how the customer sees it, isn't it? Because of their customer service experience with that person, the relationship with that person, that's how they see the organization. Same with the switchboard staff. In fact, what we realized was it's same even with the security staff. All of these we needed to spend time on to make sure that there was a great customer experience. And so you got your external customers outside with the customers, but then internally in a large organization, your internal customers for the organization are your staff. And so the key then to high-performing companies is being able to get the best out of them. And so that's what we're really looking at. How do you do that? Because you have to realize, I think, and I think most people in organizations in leadership roles never realize this, but you have to realize if you're in a leadership role, you are in the people business. You are in the people business. Whether you like it or not, you're in the people business. And some people don't like it. Some people don't actually want to be in the people business, but it's the only way you get a pay rise. It's the only way you get promotion. It's the only way you get a company car. It's the only way you get share options is by becoming a bigger leader. They don't actually want to deal with people, but it's the only route. So they don't want to realize that they're in the people business, but it's true. You are. if you're in that, if you're a leader. In fact, we all are actually, aren't we? But particularly if you're a leader. And then if you're in the people business, what that means is you're in the development of people business. So your role is to grow the people under your control. And also, this is what attracted me to the John Maxwell team in the first place years ago, but you're also in the communication business, because people are people. You need to speak to them. You need to communicate with them. So you're in the people business. You're in the development of people business. That's what the people business is. If you're a leader in an organization, you have a team of people. And we're all in the communication business because we need to interact. We need to interface with people. We need to get better at that. So that's our role. Because ultimately, as a leader, it took me 5, 6 more years of being a leader to realize this, but it's no longer what you do, it's the results you can get through your team that is important now. So I think of like leadership, or I used to say management in those days. Management is results through others, not yourself, but what you can get your team to produce. Makes sense, doesn't it? So rather than just concentrating on, I'm going to come in earlier and stay longer and work longer hours, that's how I'm going to get my results. You got a team of 30 people and they're all working at 10%. What you do, you do 1 hour a week or 120 hours a week, it's not going to make any difference. You've got to get results out of them, out of your team. That's the key, isn't it? So it's results through others. And then you realize, as a leader within the organization, if you study, if you follow John's teachings particularly, as the world's #1 leadership guru, see what he says, you realize that the leaders, and particularly middle management within a large organization, they are the gateway to that talent pool within the organization. They are. And I don't think many people realize this because they don't see leadership as a separate skill. What do they normally do in most organizations? They don't promote leaders. They don't grow leaders and then promote leaders. What they do is they tend to promote technicians and say, now you've got a team that they didn't want, but now they're responsible for and for getting results from, without being equipped with the tools. That's why often it doesn't work, isn't it? Look at it this way. This really highlights the challenge that the organizations face. So let's say somebody decides to start a company. Let's say she starts it herself. And so she's the CEO. So there's one staff member at this company. Then as she gets better at what she does and she gets more and more customers, she needs people to help her. So she gradually has more and more direct reports. And probably, typically, she might go up to 6 or 7 direct reports before they start having a team. But just to make the maths really easy, we're going to say that she's got 10 direct reports. So she's got 10 direct reports, all of whom she can interface with directly. She can talk to them one-to-one. She can get them all together in a team meeting. She can do different projects with them. She can go on training with them. They can have, go out for dinner. They can all go together. So the relationship, the communication between the leader and all of her direct reports is great. But then as the company grows now, they start building their teams underneath. And so let's say they grow to the point where there's 100 people. So each one of those 10 has 10 direct reports. So now there's 111 people in the organization. And when there was 10, she had a direct relationship with 100% of the people in the organization. But now there's more. Now she's got a direct relationship with only 10% of the organization. So 90% of the workforce, the worker bees, the people doing stuff that presumably is helping them create their goods that they're going to sell, whatever that is, 90% of them she doesn't interact with directly. Now, with 100 people, a small organization, many of you have experienced this, I'm sure, everyone kind of knows each other, particularly if she wants to. She can still go and meet people. She doesn't want to maybe go over her direct reports' heads. She wants them to have their own relationships, but she can get to know them. Her values can be passed on. Everyone knows her. She's a good person. The culture can still be set by her to a large degree, influenced at least by her, and probably for another 100 or so people. But then it becomes very, very difficult for her to do that, doesn't it? Because she can't know everyone as the company grows. She's busy. She's got other responsibilities. Maybe the shareholders pop up that she has a relationship with now, plus the customers. And now each of those indirect reports, this team has grown. So each one of them now has 10 people. So now there's 1,111 people in the organization, and 99% of them she doesn't have a direct relationship with. In fact, if you look at it, then she's 2 relationships away from 1,000 of those people. Even if she's got great relationship with her direct reports and their relationship with their indirect reports is great, there's 1,000 people below that. 1,000 people. And as the company grows, maybe they open an overseas office. Now there's 10,000 people if each one of those has 10 employees around the world. So you can see, and in a typical organization, it's not 10, is it? I think 7 is kind of said to be like the magic number for direct reports. So you can spend time with each of them individually every week. You can spend time with them together as a team each week, and you can still engage in other activities as well that a CEO has to do or a leader needs to do. So maybe 7, in which case if you had 10,000 people, this might be 7 or 8 layers deep. Organizations I've worked in with, as I said, 50, 60,000 plus people around the world, there's lots of layers, lots of levels. And people don't typically have, some people only have 2 or 3 direct reports. But then as it grows again, now, we've got 100,000 people in the organization. This is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 layers. But for the leader to reach the 100,000 people of this organization, the vast majority of these people, she needs to go through 4 relationships to get to them. It's interesting, isn't it? When you look at it like this, you're thinking, oh, yeah, what is that? That's why it's like this. She can come up with this is our mission statement and put it on the wall of her office. She can even put it in the boardroom for, her direct reports to see. She can say, these are our values, but no one else knows anything about it. If she can send out an email every now and again and say, these are our values, and people read it and, and then it's forgotten. It doesn't work like that, does it? We don't internalize information like that. It needs a lot more than just kind of sending out an email. So the potential of the organization is very definitely in the people. That's easy to see. But the potential of the organization is also trapped in the people if the organization doesn't invest in training leaders so that relationship is great with each employee. Because that's the critical point, really, isn't it? And there's a lot of research to back this up. The critical point for the performance of the organization is the relationship between each employee and their line manager. Each employee and their line manager. Think about that. Every employee in the organization has a relationship with their manager, and that relationship determines how they see the organization, what they think of the organization, and that determines, to a very large extent, how committed they are to their role, doesn't it? Whether they're going to say, oh, this company's rubbish, is one thing. But if they're saying this company's rubbish, this company doesn't pay people well, if that's what they're thinking and that's what they're saying, then they're probably not giving it their all, are they? See, you can legislate for a great deal within an organization. You can legislate for their contractual organization. So you join a company, they give you a contract, and they say you have to come in at this time, you have to stay till this time, you can have 30 minutes for lunch, and you've got to do these things, and we're watching you. And if you don't do those things, what do? They sack you because you didn't meet your contractual obligations. But is that all you're capable of doing? Not in most organizations, it's not. You're capable of far more than just your contractual obligations in most organizations. And we can call this difference discretionary goodwill. Discretionary goodwill. If you really wanted to, if you were super motivated, if you loved the company, loved the values, loved the mission that you were all united behind, you'd probably give significantly more than that kind of bottom line of non-negotiable contractual obligations that you must deliver, otherwise you're going to get fired. You can do loads more, way, way, way more. And in fact, the best organizations are able to capture this in their team, aren't they? They're able to capture that discretionary goodwill, that discretionary effort that they can bring, which they're not going to get fired if they don't bring, but they're going to get promoted, of course, more, and they're going to get rewards, and they're going to grow within the organization if they do. So it's in everyone's interest. It's in the company's interest and the individual's interests to tap into the discretionary goodwill of the people. But if they don't, everyone loses. So why don't more companies do this? Yes, when you think of it like this, it seems obvious, doesn't it? The best companies do. The best companies do. The best companies are able to release the discretionary goodwill of everyone in their organization, or many more of them, let's say. Many, many more of them. The worst organizations, they don't. And so people do just enough to meet those contractual obligations. They do just enough to stop getting fired. And because they're not high performers, then they don't get paid very well, do they? They get paid just enough so they don't quit. So the key without increasing your costs, really, is to get more out of your people. And the way you get more out of your people, obviously, is for them to want to give more of themselves. And when you realize the critical role of each line manager's role, you realize the importance of leadership training, equipping leaders to work on that relationship so that it's good and it's flourishing and the people feel good about the organization. And so they want to give more of themselves to the organization because they feel like it's their organization and they're part of something really special. Simple, really, isn't it? It all comes down to leadership. You talk about leadership, and as I said at the beginning, people don't quit companies, they quit people. This comes from John's body of work, Leadership Gold. Great body of work. And this is Mark Cole. If you don't know Mark Cole, he's the CEO of the John Maxwell Enterprise. And he's been with John for over 20 years, I think it is now. Years and years and years. And in fact, John's surrounded by people who have been with him for years and years and years. And I think that's the mark of a great leader or a great person, isn't it? The better you get to know them, the more you love them. And so people stay. That's like a tough test, isn't it? The more you get to know them, the more you love them. The opposite of that, of course, is the more you get to know them, the less you less you love them, the less you like them. And then eventually you're like, oh my goodness, I'm moving away. And so you don't have people staying around then all that time. So people don't quit companies, they quit people. Who do they quit? Largely it's the relationship with their line manager because to them, that's representative of the organization. Okay, so a leadership principle this week, but let's say happy birthday to John again. Thanks so much, John, for everything you've done. Well, for everything you do, but particularly for me and Susan. For those of you who don't know, this is my wife, Susan. You've had a huge impact on our life, and we're very, very grateful for you. I hope you have a wonderful 75th birthday today. We look forward to seeing you a little later on. Now, some of you, we don't sell on this channel at all, really, but some of you may be interested in developing as a leader, and if you are, there's nowhere better than the John Maxwell team to do that. So if you want to find out what it means to be a John Maxwell team member and you can learn how to be a coach or develop your leadership skills, build a business, become a much better communicator, there's enormous amounts of value within the John Maxwell team. There is an investment, of course, but the investment is tiny compared to the value that you get. So it's in full disclosure. And actually, as I said, I'm a member of the John Maxwell team. Speaker Pro is mine and Susan's, our own business, but we also work for the John Maxwell team. But if you decide to join the John Maxwell team, we don't get any of that money that you pay. So I'm just recommending because I think it's a great thing and worth finding out about. So if you want to, go to speak.leadwithjohn.com and find out more. We'd love it if you like these videos on YouTube, of course, and we're always grateful for any comments so we can find out what you think and what you're up to. We love it when you subscribe, of course, and hit the bell so you get notifications. And if you want to share the link so that your friends can get an email with this video each week, then speaking360.com. That's it. Look forward to seeing you next week. I'll tell you how John's birthday goes next week for those of you who are interested. Have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.